In this video, I'll demonstrate how to create roles in the vSphere web client. So here I'm at the home screen of the vSphere web client, and I can click on roles. And under roles, you can see there are going to be certain roles that are pre-built, predefined roles that are automatically included. So for example, we've got the administrator role. Right? And what a role is simply a set of privileges. Right? It's a list of things that you can do. Like for example, can you allocate space or browse data stores? Can you create data store clusters? Can you put a host in maintenance mode or carry out local operations on a host or reconfigure a host? It's just a list of things that you either can or cannot do. Right? That's all that a role is. And by default, we've got the administrator role that you can see everything here is checked. The administrator role can do everything. We've also got the read-only role and the no-access role, which are pretty self-explanatory. And then there are a series of sample roles. So for example, we've got the network administrator sample role. This is designed for somebody who wants to be able to assign networks to virtual machines. Or a virtual machine power user sample role, who can do things like browse data stores and cancel tasks and things like that. And if I want to, I can deploy a new role based on these sample roles by simply cloning the existing sample role. And at that point, I can even modify it, right? I can add some other permissions to it if I want to do so. And I can create my own new custom role. I'm going to call this Rick Grishey custom role. And so now I can go ahead and create my own special custom roles with my own specific sets of privileges that I want to grant to that role. And this is essentially how we control, who can do what in the vSphere web client. And then we can go into our inventory here. So at the hosts and clusters level, I can go to like a cluster or a host or an individual virtual machine. Right? And under there, I can go to manage and permissions. And I can define which users get which role on this particular object. So for example, if I go into my demo cluster and I go to manage and I go to permissions, and let's create a new permission, right? I'm going to give somebody that Rick Grishey custom role that I've just created. Let's give it to, I'm just going to pick a random user here. I'm going to say users is going to get that role. So that's my user and group. They're going to get the Rick Grishey custom role on the demo cluster. And it's going to propagate to children, meaning that once I grant users this role on the demo cluster, it will propagate down to child objects like this ESXi host right here. And here you can see that same user and group, that Rick Grishey custom role, and you can see where this permission was defined. So roles are a great way to control who can actually do what inside of the vSphere web client. And it can be integrated with Active Directory users and groups so that you can easily manage all of your permissions by simply adding and removing people from Active Directory security groups.